quickly, with the story, if you like, the thing that it is actually a 2-day-old story, but I've only just seen it. I just want to tell you about something that is very sad. So I want to say, do you know, we all remember the case of Jamie Bulger, the little boy who was taken away from his mum in a shopping centre. I think this is an international case that most people probably know about from all over the world. This little boy, I've never really covered it in a video. I can't because it upsets me too much. It's heartbreaking, and I couldn't do a deep dive on it because it's just too traumatic. And again, this is a family, the Bulger family. I just don't know how they've coped, how they, I suppose you cope because you have to. You get up day in, day out. There's other children in this family. Denise, James's mum, she's had to cope, hasn't she? She really hasn't had a choice. But the thing that I want to tell you about that is very, very sad, and this is how, crimes, their ripples, they don't just stick sort of with the victim themselves or even the victim's family. So what's happened was the man who found James Bulger's body has died himself. Now, I say the man, I mean, he's a man now, or he was a man before he died, but he was just a teenager when he found James's body. Now, could you imagine what that was like? Find it, and let's not forget, and I'm not going to go into gory details, but James's body was mutilated, let's say, one way or another, wasn't it? So to actually, it's bad enough to find a body. Amplify that with the fact it was a child's body, and amplify that with the fact that this body was mutilated. Must have been so traumatic for this guy, who he himself now has died. I think he was only 44 years old or in his early 40s. So the man who found James Bulger's body died after swallowing packets of drugs before his arrest. So James Riley, 44, was pronounced dead in hospital after being discovered unresponsive on the floor of his cell only hours after he was arrested by officers on suspicion of drug offences. And a jury inquest. Now, it's unusual to have a jury inquest. I didn't know anything about this before. I've not seen anything about it. It just literally caught my eye about 2 hours ago. So a jury inquest heard before Liverpool and Wirral senior coroner Andre Rebello held over 6 days, a 6-day inquest at the Gerard Majella Courthouse in Kirkdale, and concluded that Mr. Riley's medical cause of death was cocaine and heroin toxicity. It just seems like every case we ever do has got some drugs involved in it these days, isn't it? Anyway, so very sad for Mr. Riley and also, of course, for his family. The inquest was called in to look into if the decision not to take Mr. Riley for hospital on the day of his arrest before he collapsed contributed to his cause of death. And the court also heard that Mr. Riley suffered an extremely traumatic incident when he was a teenager, which was confirmed to his finding of the body of, can't even say the body of toddler James Bulger without getting upset. In previous appearances in court, Mr. Riley's defence said he suffered with depression and post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of finding James's body. Robert Thompson and John Venables, both aged 11, I mean, can't get your head around that, can you? Were found guilty in 1993 of killing the 2-year-old. Mr. Rebello told the jury that Mr. Riley was arrested at around 8:46 p.m. by two officers. Arresting officer PC Graham Hurd told the court he observed Mr. Riley on a pedal cycle and concluded he looked like he was in possession of what I thought was going to be drugs. This is little James. PC Hurd, who is part of a matrix unit which specialised in disrupting organised crime, said he made the decision to use force to apprehend Mr. Riley and decided to make contact with the front wheel of his bike with the front of his car, and the Merseyside cops said this was less risk to everybody. The court heard that PC Hurd made contact with the bike with the force equivalent of pushing someone off the bike. Mr. Riley was eventually rugby tackled to the ground by PC Hurd and arrested on suspicion of possession of a controlled drug with intent to supply, after he was found with 3 large bags of brown powder. His detention was authorised at the St Anne Street police station. The custody sergeant determined he was intoxicated and he was placed on a rest period until the following morning. Shortly before 10 a.m, he was seen by a healthcare professional who noted that his presentation suggested he may have self-medicated in custody. A strip search was conducted, but nothing was found. Later, after a further 4-hour rest period was authorised after 2, Mr. Riley was returned to his cell at 3:22, and a detention officer saw him lying on the floor at 4:57. Staff were called to the cell, and the healthcare professional administered naloxone to reverse the effects of opiates and diazepam to prevent further seizures. An ambulance was called and Mr. Riley arrived at the Royal Liverpool University Hospital at 5:47. He arrived in cardiac arrest and he was pronounced dead at 6:15. A post-mortem examination found he had 3 packages of heroin and a small block of unpackaged crack cocaine in his stomach. Dr. Matthew Lyle, who carried out the post-mortem, also found a piece of plastic wrapping in his airway, which more likely than not moved during resuscitation attempts. So do you think that this poor guy tried to swallow those drugs just so that he wouldn't, just to avoid prosecution for them? I mean, what do you think? People do swallow drugs, don't they, David? They do. Sorry, I'm just looking to see who's there. Hi, Geordie Lass. Hi, David. I can't remember if I said hello to Angel or not, but I'll say it again. Yeah. It's very sad. It's just tragedy. I just think tragedy, like in this case, this guy, he was only a teenager when he found James's body. I just can't imagine how traumatic that must have been. Now, maybe he would have ended up getting involved in drugs anyway. It was an area where people do get involved in drugs, and it could be that this poor guy would have ended up exactly the same way. But I think what we have to accept that what he went through, what he found, what he discovered, won't have helped, will it? So the inquest found that the reason for his presentation at various points on the Davis collapse can be established but can't be said to have contributed to his death. The medical assessments carried out on the Davis collapse may have presented a missed opportunity but can't be said to have contributed to his death. On the balance of probabilities, said the coroner, it is more likely than not that James swallowed the drugs before his arrival in custody, and the drugs concealed within James's stomach are more likely than not the source of the fatal drug toxicity. The inquest was attended by Mr. Riley's mum, Julie, who prepared a statement with Mr. Rebello about her son. The court heard that Mr. Riley was well-mannered and dressed lovely when he was a boy. He had 3 younger siblings and was particularly close to his brother Terence, with his mum describing the pair as lovable rogues. So I think that's it as far as this article is concerned. So I know that in another article that I was looking at, apparently, let's just have a look at this guy. Apparently his mum says, and she is his mum, so she's going to say that before he found James, I mean, you know, he's 44 years old when he died. This guy looks a lot older on this photo, doesn't he? He's, you know, his face, his cheeks are hollowed. He looks like he's been taking drugs, doesn't he? I'm sorry, no offense to him. He just does. Would he have turned out differently if he wouldn't have had that traumatic find? Well, we'll never know that, will we? He may have turned out just the same. We just don't know. But I just wanted to share that with you, and I wanted to say to this guy and to his family, rest in peace. You know, my heart breaks for him because very, very traumatic for James, and now his family. I expect they've been through hell in a way with James because of all the problems he's had and that. But now he's gone and he's never coming back. And so I just wanted to say that. I'm going to say a little prayer. I'm saying a prayer as we speak. I'm not going to light the candle because I found that the candles, when I light them, they really set off my sinuses and everything. And I've got a lot to get through. But yeah, maybe I've got a virtual candle here that I can put on. Hi, Darren. So sad, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, it's always sad when someone of that age loses their life, addict or not. But I think, you know, especially with what this poor guy, I'm lighting a virtual candle for him.